Hello guys. Okay, we are starting with 2.8 compound inequalities today, which means it's kind of like thinking of two together. So let's define this. Compound inequality is two inequalities or more. Most of the time it's just two that you're going to be dealing with. Two inequalities or more joined together with and or. All right. We're going to start with when it's or. When you have or inequalities, they have a tendency to graph apart. They go in opposite directions, okay? Opposite directions. So now let's look at this. We're going to practice with just graphing when it's already worked out. So we have x is less than or equal to -2. So since it's equal to, that means it's a filled in circle above -2, and it's less than, so it goes to the left. Or x is greater than 3. Here's the 3. It's open circle because it doesn't have the equal to bar, and it's greater than, so it's everything to the right. When it's an or statement, that means it can be true for one or the other. It does not have to be true for both. It can be in either one of these graphs. Now, for the interval notation, okay, I'm doing each one separately. So I'm looking at this one right here. And remember, for interval notation, you write it in order from least to greatest. Well, this side over here, the less than area, all of this is the smallest area. So therefore, it's to the negative infinity. So I'm going to have open parentheses, negative infinity, comma, and then where does it end? It equals, so therefore it's going to be a bracket at -2. And then we write the word or, and I look at this as a separate graph. It's an open circle on 3, so it's going to be parentheses 3, comma, and then it's everything going greater than, so therefore that's the positive infinity. And because there's nothing to equal to in infinity, it is a parentheses. All right, let's work a couple of examples where we actually have to solve some stuff in there. All right, so I work each problem, each equation, inequality separately. So I'm going to add 4, and I'm going to end up with x is less than -3. Divide by 2, and I have x is greater than or equal to 6. My answer is this with an or statement between it. Now, let's see what that looks like on the graph. All right, I graph each one separately. X is less than -3. I'm going to find the -3. It's just less than, not equal to, so it's an open circle. And I'm drawing an arrow to the left. The interval for notation for this is going to be, it's the negative infinity because I'm going less than, so I'm going to have parentheses, negative infinity, comma, and then it's stopping at -3. It's an open circle, so therefore it's a parentheses. And or, and now I have the next equation, inequality. So I'm going to have x is greater than or equal to 6, so therefore it's equal to, so it's a filled in circle, and it's everything bigger. So therefore now when I'm writing my interval notation, because it's equal to, it's a filled in circle, it's going to be a bracket at 6, comma, and then it goes on for forever in the positive direction, in this greater than direction, so therefore it's going to be a positive infinity, and it never ends in the infinity, so therefore it's a parentheses. Okay, looking at our next example. Jumping down to number 3. We're solving two-step inequalities here. So we have subtract 9, subtract 9. So we have 2x is greater than 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2. X is greater than 4. Okay. Now I'm going to subtract 10, subtract 10. 5x is less than 0. Remember, you can have answers of 0. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Work these out. X is less than 0. Remember, this is an or, because it can be either one. You just bring the or down. And there's the solution. Now we're going to write it and graph it. X is greater than 4, so it's an open circle. Oh, when you're writing this, you want to rewrite this in order from least to greatest. Always. Okay, so we're going to do everything is from least to greatest. Means even the answers. So I'm going to rewrite this right here as x is less than 0 or x is greater than 4. It actually helps you when you come in to graph it, because then you make sure that you're graphing your information correctly. So I've got x is less than 0. So I'm going to have an open circle on actually both of them, because neither one of them have equal to bar. Open circle on 0, shading this way. Open circle on 4, shading to the right. And now we do the interval notation. Since there's no equal to, nothing filled in, it's all going to be parentheses. So I'm going to have open parentheses, negative infinity, comma, 0, close parentheses, or open parentheses 4, comma, positive infinity, close parentheses. And moving right along, jumping down to number 5. Trying to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. Distribute. So we solve them just like anything else. Okay. So I'm going to distribute the negative 3. So I have negative 6x minus 3 is less than negative 15. So I'm going to add 3. Negative 6x is less than negative 12. Divide by negative 6. Since I'm dividing by the negative, we're going to flip that inequality. So we have x is greater than 2. Solving over here, I'm going to subtract 1, subtract 1. I have negative x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Divide by negative 1. And x is less than or equal to 4. What did I do? I did something. Oh, that's a positive 4 right here. Too many negatives, so that makes this a negative 4. Okay, so our final answer here is going to be, because we want to write it in order from least to greatest, so I'm going to have x is less than or equal to negative 4, or x is greater than 2. And now I graph and write the interval notation. So I have x is less than or equal to on negative 4, so therefore that's going to be a filled in circle. It's less than, so I'm going to the left. Then it's on 2, it's an open circle because it's not equal to, and it's greater than. So for my interval notation now, since it's negative infinity, it's a parentheses. It's equal to negative 4, so therefore it's going to be negative 4 with a bracket. Or it's open circle, so it's a parentheses at 2, comma, and then it's a positive infinity, and infinity has a parentheses. Okay, that took care of the or statements. Now we're looking at when it's an and statement. All right. When it says and inequalities have a tendency to graph together, or it's where they overlap. It has to make both true, okay? Make both true. So if I'm looking at this problem here, so x is greater than or equal to -6. Okay, so -6, it's going to be equal to, so it's going to be a filled in circle. So I'm going to be going in this direction here. So reason why I'm drawing it all the way, you'll see in just a moment. Okay. Next one, x is less than or equal to 1. It's a filled in dot on 1. And it's going in this direction. Now, when I'm looking at this, your solution is where it is true for both. That's where it overlaps. It is this area here where they are both the same. That is your solution. You can't pick a number from here because that's only going to be true for this x is greater than or equal to -6. I can't pick a number from here because it's just going to be true for this one. You have to pick a number, or a solution is in this area where it's covered, they overlap. They're both there. All right, so now for the interval notation, that means that's just for what's in green. Well, they're both filled in dots, so I know I'm going to be dealing with brackets for both because they're both filled in dots. It ends at -6, comma, it ends at 1. This is my interval notation because it is for just this graph here. This section is not needed. It's only the overlap. It is only this section here that is the solution. Okay, continuing on. Because the solutions to an and inequality fall between two endpoints, they are frequently written in a more condensed form. So instead of saying x is greater than or equal to -6 and x is less than or equal to 1, you put the x in the middle. So I'm going to say -6 is, and you flip the inequality symbol. So at this point, I'm going to flip the direction, is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 1. Okay, this inequality symbol flips when you rewrite it. It's like you flipped this entire one around. Okay, here we go. And this is the way we're going to write our answer. Okay. Write answer like this. All right, here we go. So let's work a couple of examples. And partially it's because it's going to be written in the form to make it that way. Here we go. Looking at this number 6, the first one. Okay, I'm looking at this. That's kind of a, here we go. I'm solving for x. I've just got to do it to both sides. So I have to do it to everything to keep it balanced. So I'm going to do subtract 4 because my goal is to get the x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4 from everything. All the way. It zeroes out here, and I'm going to end up with -2 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 5. What's very nice is it's already written it in this form when you do this, instead of keeping it as two separate problems. Here's my solution. Now I need to graph it and write the interval notation. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I'm going to do, now if it's helpful at this point to rewrite it for graphing, you can, because this is saying x is greater than or equal to -2 and x is less than or equal to 5. So now when I'm graphing this, I'm going to have a filled in circle at -2 going in this direction. And then I'm going to be at 5 with a filled in circle going in this direction, as they are going to end together. All of this is my solution. okay? Because remember, this is going this way, this is going this way, and this is where it all overlaps. All right, so my interval notation, since they are both filled in circles, it's going to be brackets, and I'm going to have -2, 5, end bracket, which is kind of nice because it kind of goes and it tells you here what it's going to be. It helps a little bit with the interval notation. Okay, jumping down to number 9. Okay, here we go. Solve it just like anything else. My goal is to get the x by itself. So I'm going to subtract 1 from everything. That zeroes out. That's going to give me -2 is less than 2/3 x is less than or equal to 4. Now, what do I have to do to get the x by itself? I've got to multiply everything by 3/2. So I'm going to multiply by 3/2 on both sides. And when I do that, this cancels out because I'm multiplying everything times 3/2. So now I get -3 is less than x is less than or equal to 6. Because I canceled here, 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 4 twice, 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into -2, -1 time, and then I multiply straight across. 3 times -1 is -3, 2 times 3 is 6, and then this canceled. So now what I can do at this point is I can go straight to my interval notation. Doesn't have the equal to bar, so I know it's a parentheses, -3, comma. It's got the equal to bar, so I know I'm going to have a bracket, 6. And now I'm graphing. I should have changed colors. Okay, so this is saying x is greater than -3 and x is less than or equal to 6. So I'm going to have -3, that's going to be an open circle going in this direction. At the 6, it's going to be a closed circle going in this direction because it's less than, and my solution is actually everything that's in between. So I don't really need this. There's my graph. Last one. Here I can distribute first. So I'm going to have -2 is less than -2x. Not a -2x, that's just 2 that I'm distributing. So it's 2x minus 12 is less than or equal to 4. And now I continue to solve. So I'm going to add 12 to everything. I have 10 is less than 2x. That zeroes out. Is less than or equal to 16. Divide everything by 2. And I get 5 is less than, cancels, x is less than or equal to 8. This is my solution. And now I can do my interval notation. I can go straight to doing my interval notation. So that's not equal to, so that's a parentheses. So it's going to be parentheses 5, comma, 8, because these are my extremes. And then it's equal to, so it's going to be a bracket. So at this point, I can go from my interval notation and realize that, oh, if it's in parentheses, then that means it's going to be an open circle at 5, and then it's going to be a closed circle at 8, and it's everything in between. And I can graph it that way, or I can realize that this is saying x is greater than 5, and x is less than or equal to 8, which means it's going to be everything that's less than 8 and everything that's greater than 5, and it overlaps here. Finish the notes, finish the classwork homework, and have a great weekend.